Now, here we enter the third part of the 50 Shades of Grey series. And again, I'm not exactly enthused to go watch this, but my bride wants to go, so we end up having to go. Ta da. So, let's go ahead and get this thing wrapped up. Let's finally finish this series and put this thing to bed, and maybe, hopefully, we've got something a little better to go along with. So, of course, the first thing we have to do is we have to go in and show all the loveliness that is the marriage life. You know, they've got to go to here, they've got to go there, they've got to, justify this big, huge budget. We've got to see the big, huge sailing ships. We've got to see the thing in Paris. And those of you that are not exactly enthusiastic about the one percenters type, so to speak, the very first of this movie is going to kind of put you off a little bit because, yeah, he's a billionaire and but good gosh, did they throw it up front? I mean, you're talking fantasy world right here. They are jet setting around the world and all this good stuff. And again, it's not a bad part of the movie. It's just it almost feels like James Bond about how we've got to hit all the travelogue type stuff, and not a lot happens. I mean, yeah, of course we got to have a few sex scenes and all that good stuff, but it's not really vital and it doesn't really do anything to the plot until of course we get to our national, nude beach and all that. Anastasia once again is popping up saying that, everybody else is naked, why can't I be naked? And Christian actually does say something that makes a lot of sense. He pops up and he says, well, they're all fine until you end up with the front cover of a tabloid, which is absolutely true. I guarantee you that somebody's sitting there with a telephoto lens trying to make sure they get a picture of the new billionaire's wife. It's, you kind of have to look at it. It's like, if when Bill Gates got married, he didn't exactly take Melinda to a nude beach. It's not something that's done. And it's something that Anastasia still doesn't realize that she's in this world that needs to be better protected. She didn't learn her lesson from the last movie, obviously, and you kind of get the feeling that that's going to pop up again. But no, the tabloid thing never does show up. Slight spoiler alert here. But it's something that you would think would have happened in real life. So we start with that, and again, but all of a sudden we find out that somebody has snuck into the server room and it basically stole some files and set fire to the server room. Christian's pulled off of his honeymoon and he has to go back and find out what's going on because obviously he works for a bunch of idiots because they keep showing up with all these files. They keep showing up with all this thing. And yes, it's the dude from the last movie, but it's amazing that he can break in there and just do all this damage and steal all this stuff just for fun. And we kind of get a little more background on it, but it's a whole bunch of exposition dump. Anastasia goes back to work, and instantly she again does this female umpire type thing because, of course, she isn't taking his name. He fusses a bit about that. She says she'll think about it, so obviously he's muted. And then she says, she's get promoted while she's been gone, which is hilarious. And then they have to, of course, show that she deserves the appointment because she went in and did find a book that's got like 200,000 pre-orders, which I don't know much about publishing, but I'm guessing that's good. So that's a lot of fun. So now we get Jack Hyde. He's the guy from the previous movie, like I said. He's causing all kinds of trouble. He's making bail. He's making accusations that Anna came on to him, that Christian stole his stuff. And we get a whole bunch of, again, it's like a Bond movie without the spy stuff. We get a whole bunch of travelogue where, he Christian is still trying to make Anastasia happy. She's still basically not wanting to get everything. She's wanting to do everything on her own. Like somebody who just graduated college is going to get put in the entire fiction department for a major publisher. But we won't go into that. Again, we get a little more backstage on Christian. It's kind of funny. Christian, for some reason, is this multi-billionaire. He can also play piano. He also knows everything, has all this good fun stuff, but yet he can't cook. So again, Christian is up to this whole giant with the feet of clay type thing. And then as the movie develops, Jack becomes more and more of a threat. He becomes a physical threat. He actually attacks Anastasia at the house while she's trying to blow off her keepers because, again, she's an idiot. And then we get, and that's kind of, I'm going to leave it here because I don't want to give you too much spoilers up until the end. But if you'll notice, I'm not really talking anything about the BDSM because, again, there's not really any of that here. Yeah, there's the whole red room thing. There's the whole where she goes to retreat whenever she gets really upset with him. There's a lot of it around the edges, but it's no longer the basis of their relationship. And in my opinion, that actually makes it stronger. It makes it a stronger movie, I should say, because again, as I've said, my biggest criticism of it is Christian is a bit of this giant with the feet of clay, but Anastasia is not wanting to be a kept woman. She is not wanting to be a slave. She is not wanting to do this whole BDSM. It's more just kinky sex for her. Again, every time Christian tries to get her or to mold her or to do anything, she fights back and he relents. He may be a little on the dominant side, but he's a little on the wishy-washy side as well. And and again, when you move away from it, that actually is a positive thing in my opinion. It's just one of those things where it makes the movie better because it's not the focus. Well, again, it's just that the BDSM aspect that they push, especially with the first movie, not so much with the second movie, it's just not. It's not really a big part of the story. It's more of a side thing here. And again, I think it's better. I don't think E.L. James understands what's going on with it. If you do, in fact, go out and Google it, like Christian kept begging Anastasia to do, it doesn't fit. Anastasia's too hard-headed. She just is. It's just the nature of her character. The movie moves a lot better when they're trying to play against other people. Again, the quote-unquote vanilla type aspect of the movie. And it's a better movie for it. Overall, and then I'll get to spoilers here in a second. Overall, I will give this movie a 5. I don't think it's a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. I do think they push Christian into showing how assertive he can be in the real world versus how assertive he is in the bedroom. There is a bit of an issue there that it just doesn't fit. Christian's actions with Anastasia doesn't fit the way he acts with everyone else. And again, you do have, that's not exactly uncommon. You do have people that treat people a different way in one aspect of their lives than they do in the others. But again, that's not what Christian's been built up to be. So, again, it's just not, it's a better movie than I think the first two are. It's a more understandable movie than the first two are. You don't have to worry about the whole relationship type thing. And like I said, I do think the movie's better for it. But now I don't think, I kind of think you do have to see the first two movies to see this one to kind of catch everything. And I don't think, as the saying goes, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze as far as that. I don't think I would worry about seeing this movie unless you're like me and your bride kind of dragged you to it or drug you to it. I guess if I could speak English properly. I don't think that makes up for it. Again, I do see the appeal for it. I don't see the reason for it. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are holler and scream the book was better. The book did this. The book did the other thing. Because, yeah, of course they do. You can hear inner monologues in a book you can't really hear in a movie. They do kind of try it a bit throughout this series, but not really so much. I do think a better movie, even though, again, you do have the Dom with the feet of clay type aspect here, would be Secretary. I think that's a much better representation if you're looking for this kind of adult type things. And again, I may explore a few more of these, but again, it's one of those things where it's almost like she's trying too hard without really understanding what she's looking at least in my personal opinion, again, the way I'm looking at it. But no, like I said, I'm giving it a 4. I'll come back with spoilers. But I do want to thank you, those of you that are listening to me on YouTube. By all means, please like and subscribe to this video. I would like to hear your feedback on it. You can go to the website, 7poundbag.com, and you can actually take a look at my other 2 reviews on it, so you can tell me that I'm full of absolute pudding and don't know what I'm talking about. But I do want to thank you for watching us. I am going to come back now with the spoilers. My spoilers are fairly simple. You can kind of see where Christian's coming from on a lot of this. Again, you don't get a lot of the aspects. I don't think that really matters here. The villain is built up fairly well. Uh, you do notice that again, Kim Basinger's not here, and she doesn't show up at all in the movie. She is kind of patterned off. She's mentioned but not shown. She does cause a lot of the conflict, which was interesting because again, it gets back to Christian Grey. He has trouble with Anastasia once she finds out she's pregnant, and what does he do? He runs home to his mommy figure, and again, that's a bit of an issue because again, he can't stand on his own 2 feet. Just one of them things. It's something that Christian has a problem doing. He's had a problem the entire series doing it. Something happens, he gets drunk, he runs off, he pouts, he says that's just the way I am, etc. and so forth. And it just doesn't fit his personality. It doesn't fit the way he's built. Like I said, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But again, what do I know? Let's see here. Just because of the way it's done. The kidnapping aspect, again, I wonder if Kim Basinger was supposed to have been the person driving the car. I did ask the wife because she has read and loved and enjoyed the books if that's the way it was done in the books, and she said no, she's just somebody else, which they do set up a little bit that she was somebody else that also worked at the paper and was blackmailed. So they do at least set that up to a certain point. Again, it's something that had it been done a little better or had it been done earlier, does kind of show off a little better. And I do like that. It's something that fits. But again, it's almost like it's a little too late. So Christian does pull up and say, one thing I do like and one thing that does kind of build, it's like in the bank scene. He goes to the bank manager and says, whatever the heck she wants, you give it to her. And that is how he wants everybody around to act. That's the way he wants his chef to work, the way he wants the people at his company to work, the way he wants everybody else to work. But again, it's dipping his toe into it. You know, the bank manager is beholden to him for a financial reason because he is this rich, powerful dude. Anastasia is beheld by love, but again, it's not of a type that he's spent the last 2 movies demanding that he's gotten. And it's just not there. He does get some of it with, again, the wait staff, the whole house thing. That's kind of thrown in there, in my opinion. It doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things. It's just there to show that Anastasia, it's again to build her up where she's this big powerful thing. Because this hot architect, designer, whatever the heck she's supposed to be, kind of pushes herself into what's going on with Christian. Doesn't mean anything. It's another way for Anastasia to show that she's powerful and she's a type A type personality anyway, which again doesn't fit her last 2 movies. And in my opinion, that's the biggest struggle with this movie. Christian is supposed to be this big, huge, dominant guy, but again, he backtracks so much. Anastasia is supposed to be this meek little submissive girl, but the movie redirects so much to show that she has all this power over Christian, over the architect. She has no problem whatsoever throwing her money around whenever she wants to. She's got, I mean, it even comes to the driving scene, which drives me up the wall. Just because, you know, Christian has this big, huge driving scene, basically, where he's all kind of impressive, and he doesn't want Anastasia to mess with it because she doesn't know what she's doing. And then on the way back, all of a sudden she's taking, you know, curves at speeds that scare Christian. Christian, you know, kind of is a little scared about what she's doing. She's able to lose the pursuer. She's able to do basically whatever she wants, which if you've ever driven a manual 6-speed transmission, it's a little different if you don't know what you're handling to. And it's definitely a whole lot different if you're on a, you know, two-lane winding mountain road. You can't exactly take those curves at, you know, 50 miles an hour. I don't care how big and bad you are. I don't care how nice of an engine you got. Don't care how great your tires are. You're just not, swimming around the backwoods of Washington State willy nilly just because you're big and powerful now. It just doesn't fit. And again, Christian's scared popless. And again, that just, like I said, it makes him weaker. It makes her stronger, and that's not. It doesn't make any sense as far as like an intention type thing is concerned to me. As I said, I understand why they're doing it. I understand it's a fantasy. I understand it's this, that, and the other. But it doesn't fit with what Christian's supposed to be doing. Every time you build him up, you've got to make her more powerful. She's a little worried, but she's confident that Christian's going to be able to take care of her and all this other good stuff. And then turn around and she's scaring Christian. That it just doesn't fit what's going on with her. It doesn't fit the way their dynamic, was presented. I could see it if she's learning, if she's under his guidance and all that. Nope, she just jumps behind the wheels and does whatever the heck she wants. Which again, that's fine. It's a female empowerment type thing, but it doesn't really fit the way it's been built the last few movies. Anastasia is again a bit of a weak character. Again, I cannot believe that's Melanie Griffin's child. Melanie Griffin is about as sexy as it gets, to be quite honest with you. And Dakota Johnson, she's fine. She's fine looking. She's not close to what her mother is, to be quite honest with you. But then again, that only puts her at 99.9% of the human population, so there's nothing wrong with that. James Dorn's fine. I actually think he's gotten to be a better actor as things go on. Again, I do love Kim Basinger. She's not in this movie, of course. She's, of course, she could at one time stand toe to toe with Melanie Griffith as far as the hotness is concerned, but she's not pulled into it. The rest of the cast is just fine. I mean, they're all kind of in their roles. They're all just fine. I don't have really a problem as far as the acting's concerned. The direction's fine. I don't really have a problem with the ending. Again, it's just one of those things where it just goes with the rest of the movie. I've got a bit of an issue with it. So that's going to kind of do it for me here. Again, I'm going to give it a 5. I don't think it's an offensive movie. I don't think the series is worth spending this much time into it, even though as a standalone movie, this is a fine movie. I don't really have a problem with it. Out of all of them, the whole kidnapping thing, the whole keeping this, that, and the other, I don't really have a problem with it. Again, your mileage may vary. But again, by me to hit the website. I do appreciate any and all feedback. If you don't want to get into, the nuances of what all's happening with this movie, or if you want to tell me how the book's different, by all means go right ahead. And hopefully, here shortly, I'll pull up Black Panther and we'll talk about that. And we'll see if that's worth the hype. But again, thank you for watching. By all means, so like and subscribe. I'll try to do these more often. I do definitely need to do better at that. And y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you.